Morning, everybody. Um, Happy Friday. Hope you've had a good week going on. Hope you are looking at if you're in the DC area, looking at the sunshine, maybe getting outside today, get moving around. Really glad to have a minute to say thanks. We've had a few events over the last couple of weeks where we had some really good Foundry support for things. Last week, late in the evening on Wednesday, early in the morning on Um, Thursday, we had a team of about 14 people, mostly from Foundry, who participated in the point in time count, which is an annual count mandated by HUD, administered by the Community Partnership here in DC. And this year, with the pandemic, it was a kind of an odd situation. Normally, it'd be a very centralized, and we'd have a sort of almost like a kickoff and then head out into the different parts of the neighborhood. But it's literally volunteers all over the city who go out and then walk the streets to survey and talk with anybody who happens to be sleeping out that night, who's unhoused. Happens every single year. I think this was my fifth or sixth time participating, um, and members from the Sacred Resistance team have been doing that for years. But this was the largest group we've ever had from Foundry, and with the way they had to do it for the pandemic, they gave us responsibility for just the Foundry neighborhood, um, and so we had a chance to kind of care for our area. But the way it works is, we split up the map just immediately, kind of around the church and around DuPont Circle, and then we just walk around and you engage every person, and then survey, which is general demographic information. And what that data does is it tells us how many people are kind of unhoused at that given time. They do it in the dead of winter so that hopefully more people are in the shelters and we don't miss as many people. But what it tells us is how many and where, and that should inform the city about where to concentrate resources and how much to concentrate resources. So I'm really grateful to all the volunteers who took time between the hours of 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. To come out with us and to do that work, including one of the ANC reps from Ward 2, Robin, who was there. So really grateful for folks making that offering. And we'll get the kind of results. It used to be before they moved it to an electronic collection, we wouldn't get results until close to May, but we should have results here in the next few weeks. And when that happens, we'll be able to say, okay, here's what the populations are looking like right now, including the breakdowns around race and how the inequity looks in terms of who's getting services and who aren't. So, and it's just the data. But that informs us in how we approach the budget season for DC, which is getting kind of started right now. The actual budget won't drop until a few months from now, but the oversight hearings are going to start. And we know that we're fighting in terms of chronic homelessness. We know that we're fighting cuts. The chairman and the mayor had made cuts to homeless services to the tune of around 25% at a moment that really doesn't, we don't need that. And we know that they're finding money for small businesses and for hotels and things like that, but they seem to be unable to find money for ending chronic homelessness. So we have a fight in front of us over the next few months, and the Sacred Resistance team will keep you engaged on ways that you can be either participating in those oversight hearings or ways that you can be attending meetings in the neighborhoods to be able to say this is to be able to join the rest of us in saying like this is a priority. These are our most vulnerable neighbors, and it's time that we invest. I can tell you that we're facing a situation where we tend to have good outreach. People are being engaged. Right now with pandemic, a lot of people are in, um, I think it's called like Pet V, but it's basically we've got a lot of folks temporarily housed in hotels to keep them a little safer during pandemic. But all of those things are going to end. And if they end where we're not housing people, that means people are back on the street. So we really need to better position ourselves to complete the work. And right now, it doesn't seem like the city is positioning itself to complete the work. They're just positioning themselves to let it kind of fall apart a little bit. So we want to keep the pressure on, and I hope you'll participate in that work with us as we go through the next few months. Um, that's one thing that we're grateful for the folks who offered their time into that work in these past couple of weeks, and there'll be plenty more for all of us to do in the months ahead. I'm also really grateful for our ID ministry team. They're still out every Friday. We're limited still on what we can do in person, but they've been fighting their way through winter. We had a few weeks delayed there because of insurrectionists who decided they wanted to try and overthrow the U.S. government. So we had lots of security concerns in the city. We weren't able to meet. But after those couple of weeks off, we were back last week. And so I'm really grateful to the volunteers who are literally outside on the plaza of Foundry right now and kind of sitting out in the cold with our neighbors who need the assistance and getting them that assistance. We've also been really active online and phone conversations, helping coach through caseworkers as they try and navigate the ID process. And so I'm just grateful for folks and the ways that they're continuing to contribute to this and what continues to be an odd time, but has no clear ending anytime soon in sight. So I'm just glad that people are adjusting and continuing to put themselves out there. I'm also really grateful to, in regards to the ID ministry, had the chance yesterday to present at a policy forum. This is the second time that the ID ministry and I have had a chance to kind of be with this policy forum. It's digital identity and the road ahead. So a lot of discussion among policymakers and system builders, software system builders who are looking at ways to move some of our identifying and authenticating processes into a digital format. So if you think about the way that maybe you do some of your online banking, maybe you do your fingerprint on your phone, and then that helps the bank know that it's you who's getting on there. There's a lot of talk about expanding the way that digital authentication happens, not only for things like banking, but other financial transactions, but also things like digital driver's licenses, digital IDs. And I'm really grateful to our contact to Jeremy Grant, who has brought us in twice to be able to come into that setting as these conversations are happening and be able to say, you know what, these conversations are nice, and we can see that this is one way that identification is moving in this country. However, we work with people every single week who are left behind currently by the paper system, and if you're not extremely careful with the way that you build your digital systems and your policies around digital systems, they will be left out in that format as well. And so I'm grateful for the chance to have been able to bring that voice into that space twice. The last time we did it, it resulted in literally 2 sentences in a bill proposed by Congressman Foster. That was in the previous Congress. He said yesterday at the forum that he has intention on bringing that back. And we'll see if anything else is included there. But those 2 sentences that resulted kind of from our engagement were about helping people with the cost. And so that's something. So happy to be able to relay the good work that Foundry does at the ID ministry setting and help it be put into the conversation around practical policy and system building. So I'm just grateful to all our volunteers who continue to give their time, all of you who continue to support not only that work, but all the work that we do for our social justice ministries. And I'm thankful to you to staying connected with us and engaged, even as we kind of leap like month from another month for like actual events that we're able to do. But just know there's a lot of work happening even behind the scenes, even as we're not able to be together and it's good work. And I'm glad that you are able to stick with us as we continue to learn about how our life looks together and continue to bring the voice of those who are vulnerable in our neighborhood and in our community to make sure they're getting looked after. So stick with us. Hope that you are going to find some energy maybe this weekend. Talked to a lot of tired people this week, so just if it's you, just know you're not anywhere close to alone in that. You've got a lot of company there, but we'll keep clawing forward together, and we'll do everything we can to ensure that we are caring for one another, even in moments apart. So I hope that you'll come back and see us on Sunday morning as we continue our worship series together, and that you will join us 11:15 on Sunday. But otherwise, hope you will have a wonderful Friday, wonderful weekend. We will see you on Sunday. Bye bye.